Gimjang isn't just about a recipe. It's a sacred annual event, a race against time, and a final desperate effort to survive the brutal cold. For my mother, it was as constant and certain as the changing of the seasons. This is the story of how an act of making food became a life-sustaining ritual of collective hope. Tonight's story takes you back in time to a small new home in a new country where the air smells of freshly cut cloth and the quiet hum of a sewing machine is the soundtrack to your days. It's here, amidst the threads and fabric, that you first learn about the world. Your parents are your cinematic historians, and their voices are your history audiobook. To keep you and your brother distracted from the repetitive work, they fill the quiet room with a constant stream of stories. They tell you about the great kings and their magnificent Joseon dynasty, about terrifying ghosts and mischievous goblins, and about their own lives back in Korea, a world you had to leave behind. They speak of Gimjang not just as a recipe, but as a monumental ritual that unfolded every year. You hear the phrase sacred, and you feel the weight of it, not from a textbook definition, but from the earnestness in your mother's voice. This wasn't just a tradition, it was a matter of survival. The Gimjang was their assurance, their promise of sustenance for the entire season. You can almost feel the cold seeping through the walls as they talk, a chill that makes the sewing room, even with its rhythmic whirring, feel a little colder. It's in these moments that you understand the true value of a meal, not as a convenience, but as a life-sustaining act of collective hope. It's strange, isn't it, to think that someone 1,000 years ago shared your same small worries, like how to keep warm, how to feed their family, and how to make sure the food they had would last. Your mother's stories are a bridge across time, connecting your small hands, cutting threads in a new country, to the thousands of hands that have prepared for the cold throughout history. This is a crucial element of immersive history, feeling the connection, feeling the continuity of human experience. You've heard that some people believe a good Gimjang will ensure good luck for the family in the coming year. A little bonus superstition passed down through generations. This is the kind of history for adults that resonates deeply, not with the list of dates and battles, but with the quiet dignity of everyday life. This is cinematic history, unfolding in your mind's eye as a vivid, colorful film. A historical audiobook where the narrator is not a distant scholar, but your own parents. You can almost smell the earth and feel the cold air as your mother talks about the winters of her youth. It's a profound thought that such a simple, routine act of preparing food could carry so much weight, so much meaning. It's in these small details that the grand tapestry of the past is woven, thread by humble thread. And you, sitting there with the scissors in hand, are a part of that very tapestry. As your mother's stories continue to unfold, you find yourself transported from the warm sewing room to the bitter cold of a Korean winter. Your brother is no longer beside you, but you feel the communal warmth of a village, a shared breath of collective effort. The scene in your mind is one of monumental scale. Your mother is talking about the 300 kimchi cabbages, an almost unimaginable number. To you, a small child, it sounds like an endless sea of green, a task so vast it could only be accomplished by an army. But it's not an army. It's a community, a symphony of hands and shared purpose. You can hear your mother's voice, her tone a mix of awe and memory as she recalls how the neighbors would arrive, each bringing their own strength and spirit. It wasn't a formal invitation, but an unspoken agreement, a social contract as old as the village itself.
This communal work was a cornerstone of Korean life, a profound example of Dure culture, the tradition of community labor. It's an eccentric curiosity about this era that, while a strict patriarchal system governed the family, the women of the village often operated in their own vibrant, collaborative societies, sharing the work and the laughter that came with it. You can almost feel the biting cold as your mother describes the winter of her youth, a cold so intense it would freeze a wet pair of pants solid. The image she paints is so vivid, so strange, that you can't help but picture it. A pair of stiff, frozen pants standing on their own, a ghost-like figure in the yard. This wasn't just a detail, it was a physical testament to the necessity of Gimjang. It was a race against the elements, a frenzied and joyful period of intense labor before the ground hardened to stone and the air became an unyielding, unforgiving force. The immense effort of preparing those 300 kimchi cabbages, which seemed like an insurmountable mountain of work, was made possible by this rotating labor exchange, where one family's gimjang became everyone's gimjang, and everyone's gimjang became the next. It's a powerful insight into the strength of community. The sheer physical scale of the Gimjang in your mother's home was breathtaking. You can hear her voice in your head.
아휴, 배추가 산더미처럼 많았어. 정말 많았어.
The words echo in your mind, translating not just as a quantity, but as a feeling of endlessness, a monumental task that filled the entire courtyard. Historians still debate whether this level of communal effort was born out of pure necessity or if it was also a deeply ingrained cultural value. But for your mother, it was simply how life worked. It was a time of shared laughter, of working side by side with friends and family, the cold air and the immense task bringing everyone closer together. It's in these moments that you understand that the purpose of Gimjang wasn't just to make kimchi, it was to strengthen the social fabric of the community, to reinforce the bonds of friendship and family, and to ensure that no one was left to face the unforgiving winter alone. It's a bit like a team building exercise, but with higher stakes and the much better meal at the end. You can imagine the steam rising from the large pots of boiling kimchi cabbage, the sound of hands working in rhythm, a testament to the powerful collective spirit that has defined Korean history for generations.
Before you can even begin the sacred work of Gimjang, you are transported to a time of meticulous preparation, a phase that felt like a secret ritual within the larger tradition. You find yourself in the vast, sunny courtyard of your mother's childhood home, a huge canvas of red laid out on a tarp, glistening under the sun. You hear your mother's voice, her tone a mix of nostalgia and practicality as she describes the crucial first step, drying the chili peppers. This was a process that demanded patience and a watchful eye, an act that could take up to 20 days. It wasn't a static task, but a constant dance of care, turning the chili peppers so they would dry evenly, making sure they didn't get too moist. It's a powerful image, the sheer dedication to a single ingredient that would define the flavor of an entire winter. You can imagine the air, thick with the scent of sun-baked chili, a promise of the fiery flavor to come. But this isn't a pristine modern kitchen. This is the countryside, where nature is both a blessing and a challenge.
You can hear the matter-of-fact tone in your mother's voice as she recalls how they dealt with the small intrusions of the world. A bird would fly overhead, leaving a small stain on the chili peppers. A gust of wind would stir up dust from the yard. The response? Not panic, but a simple, pragmatic action. We would just wipe it clean with a dry cotton cloth. This small detail is so telling. It's an eccentric curiosity about this era, the acceptance of minor imperfections, the belief that the effort and the final product were more important than a perfectly sterile process. This wasn't about a spotless kitchen. It was about the heart, the hard work, and the final delicious outcome. It's a bit like a chef who knows that the best flavors come from the soul, not from a laboratory. And in your mind's eye, you see a small, diligent hand wiping a tiny speck from a vibrant red chili pepper, a testament to a love for tradition. The culmination of this long, sun-drenched process was the journey to the bangakgan. You hear your mother's voice filled with a sense of wonder and a little bit of humor. This was where the magic happened. You can almost feel the ground vibrate as the heavy machinery started, the loud, rhythmic grinding that transformed sun-dried chili peppers into fiery red flakes. And you can't help but smile at her vivid description of the reaction. Everyone in the bangakgan started to cough, 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 cough. The narration in your mind shifts to this moment, a soundscape of roaring machines and the collective sound of a room full of people caught off guard by the sheer potency of the gochugaru. It's in these tiny, comical moments that the humanity of the tradition shines through. But why red chili pepper? Your mother's story gives you a fascinating and intimate answer. She recounts a time when kimchi was originally white, a detail that feels both shocking and compelling. She tells you about the debate among historians regarding the arrival of the chili pepper in Korea. Some say from Japan, others from China. A detail that reminds you that history is rarely a settled, simple story. But then she shares the more personal, more human reason behind its adoption. My mother told me that the chili pepper was a substitute for expensive salt. This detail is so powerful because it reframes the entire tradition. It's a story not just of flavor, but of necessity, of innovation born from hardship. The discovery that this new spice had antimicrobial and antioxidant properties, making it an effective preservative, turned a culinary experiment into a national obsession. Historians still debate the specific economic drivers behind the shift, but for your mother, the reason was clear and rooted in the reality of everyday life. It's strange, isn't it, to think that a flavor that has come to define a nation was born out of a desire for preservation? The Korean love for spice, born from this ancient need, has a charmingly eccentric side to it. You hear your mother laugh as she tells you, Koreans believe that when you eat something spicy and you sweat, the sweat relieves your stress. So if you're stressed about something, you'll eat something even spicier. It's a beautiful thought, a kind of food-based therapy passed down through generations. And with a touch of a wink, she adds a warning about the consequences. Well, if you eat something too spicy, your stomach might complain, and you'll be going to the bathroom more often along with a stomachache. It's a gentle moment of humor, a reminder that even the most cherished traditions have their real-world, sometimes painful consequences. But for Koreans, the passion for that fiery red flavor is something that transcends a little discomfort. If you ask a Korean if they wanted anything changed, they'll always say no. We want the red, dark red. We want it as spicy as possible. After the long, arduous work of preparing the chili peppers and the kimchi cabbage, the final, most crucial stage of Gimjang begins. You're transported to the quiet back garden of your mother's home, where the cool earth waits. This is a job for the men, she tells you, because it requires strength. You can see your father and the other men of the village, their shoulders straining under the weight of the massive ongi, the earthenware jars that are both a vessel and a promise. These jars are not simply stored, they are buried in the cold, hard ground, a ritual that feels as ancient as the hills that surround the village. This wasn't just a practical act to prevent the kimchi from freezing during the bitter winter. It was a sacred trust, a final, solemn moment of dedication to the family's survival. It's a powerful image, the men of the village, their hands caked with earth, carefully placing the jars into their winter beds. The ground is a silent guardian, and the kimchi within, a silent promise. This division of labor, the men responsible for the heavy physical tasks like carrying the peppers to the bangat khan and burying the ongi, and the women for the meticulous work of the Gimjang itself, is a fascinating glimpse into the social fabric of the time. It's a well-known historical fact that in this era, family life was structured around distinct roles, with each person contributing their specific skills and strengths. While some historians may debate the rigidness of this gender dynamic, your mother's story presents it as a seamless, efficient system, a collective effort where everyone played a vital part in a larger communal survival. This small detail, which you once heard while cutting threads in a small room in a new country, now feels like a profound insight into a world where every person's contribution, no matter how small, was essential. And then, after all the hard work, after the last jar is buried, comes the best part, the reward, the celebration. You can almost smell the delicious aromas as your mother describes the feast. The air is no longer cold and tense, but warm and filled with laughter. The star of the show is, of course, the kimchi that was just made, still fresh and tangy. But it is not alone. The table is laden with suyuk, tender boiled pork, and a warm and comforting bowl of baechukuk, a savory kimchi cabbage soup made with doenjang, a fermented soybean paste that is the very heart of Korean cuisine. This trio, she says, was the ultimate reward, the sweet culmination of an entire community's effort. It's an eccentric curiosity that this feast, with its specific combination of foods, was the traditional way to mark the end of Gimjang, a kind of seasonal Thanksgiving, but with a Korean soul. The final act of Gimjang is perhaps the most beautiful. Your mother recalls her own mother, your grandmother, as she took the fresh kimchi and carefully placed it into the empty pots that the neighbors had brought. This act of sharing, of giving a piece of their labor to those who had helped, was the heart of the tradition. It wasn't about payment. It was about reciprocity, a beautiful, unspoken acknowledgement of the bond that held the community together. This final scene is not just about food. It's about the deep human connection that is forged in shared work and celebrated in shared meals. The question she would always ask you echoes in your mind. What could be better than sharing the work and the kimchi, the fruit of that labor? This is a moment of pure grace, a testament to the fact that Gimjang is not just a food preservation technique, but a ritual of community, love, and humanity.
We have walked through the vivid, colorful memory of Gimjang, a journey that has taken us from a small sewing room in a new country to the sun-baked courtyard of a Korean village. We have felt the cold of a harsh winter, the warmth of a community's embrace, and the fiery taste of a tradition born from necessity. We've explored the history of a single dish, not through a list of facts, but through the vibrant, personal memories of your mother, a testament to the idea that history is a living, breathing thing. It is not something to be read in a book,
but something to be felt, to be tasted, and to be shared. The most profound history is found in the quiet dignity of everyday life, in the stories that are passed down from a mother to her child, and in the small act of courage and love that hold a family together, even across continents. The Gimjang wasn't just a meal, it was a promise, a ritual, and a celebration of the enduring power of community. If you enjoyed this journey into cinematic history, and if you believe that these stories deserve to be told, then be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps me bring these narratives to life, and it lets me know that we are not alone in our love for the intimate and personal side of the past. Drop a comment below and share a story from your own family history, a recipe, a tradition, or a memory that reminds you of where you come from. Your story is an invaluable piece of the human tapestry, and it deserves to be told. Until our next journey into history, remember that the past is never truly gone. It's just waiting for us to find it, one story at a time. The journey awaits.